I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. I am thrilled to be joined today by the winner of the TFC, the Fantasy Championship here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Brad Petri has agreed to be interviewed by me today, and I'm thrilled to talk to him about his big win. He took home $500,000 for his victory. Brad's a longtime user of our site. Great player, great guy. He also won the RTFFC white contest as well. So he took home $10,000 for that in addition to his fantasy championship win. So he won $510,000 this year. So here's my interview with Brad Petri, the winner of the fantasy championship here and the RTFFC white contest. I'm thrilled to be joined now by Brad Petri, the winner of the fantasy championship this year. He took home $500,000 for his big victory. Brad, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
So has it sunk in yet? I mean, $500,000, that's kind of life-changing type money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a real excitable person, but yeah, I mean, it feels good. It really does. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with it for right now, but it's going to be put up for some, something down the road. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're definitely a loyal user of our site as well. So it's good to see somebody that we know take home the win. How have you been received, even from people on the side or people that you told about this? How's that gone?
Well, I don't really broadcast it too much. Let's put it that way. So I'm sure this will be out there a little bit. But actuality, I during the final game, I didn't even look where I was at. I knew I was having good. I mean, it was 3:00 game. I had a lot of 49ers playing, and I just kept hoping they'd get. And I was getting text messages. Your team's doing pretty good. And I said, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And I waited until before the 7 p.m. game, and I looked, and I had, I was in the lead, and then it started setting in a little bit, and then more pressure started to mount, and so I mean, I was trying to play it cool that whole day because I knew my team was doing well, but I didn't know where I was in the standings. I purposely didn't look.
I got you. A little superstition there. So you finished first overall. You won by about 22 points over the second place team. You actually had another team in the top 20. You had another team finish 16th overall. So you had the first place team, 16th place team as well. Was there any point of the season where you thought, hey, I think I got a chance here? Or did you see that at all at any point?
No, I mean, I had some that would float up and float down. This particular team that won was struggling. It was 8-5 when it finished the year, and it just there happened to be some injuries that propelled them. I mean, Jalen Hurts got hurt, but then I had Daniel Jones, and he's kind of on fire in those last 3 games. And I had Damian Pierce, and then McKinnon filled his spot, and then the Garoppolo situation really boosted my Ayuk, and because Samuel went out, and Ayuk and Kittle started taking off with a change in quarterback, and obviously and McCaffrey too. So when all that, this kind of was like a perfect storm. I made the playoffs, and then they all caught fire. It was, basically, and I had really no wide receivers the whole entire year. Keenan Allen came back, I think, in week 8 or week 9. I mean, and him and Ayuk, I mean, it's just a perfect storm. I guess I held the team together long enough to for it to come to fruition.
I think it's a great example personally of just you just wanting to get in because anything can happen at that point. Because I look at your roster, I'm going to pull it up now for everybody to see. You had Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts as your QB. Then you had Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Jerick McKinnon, Brandon Ayuk, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Brett Maher, 49ers defense. And you had Algier, Hubbard, Latavius Murray on the bench, Dameon Pierce, you mentioned, Treylon Burks, Mac Hollins, Isaiah McKenzie, Cortland Sutton, and Buffalo Bills defense. So kind of carried by a trio of players that I see personally. I mean, you had Hurts, who had a great year, Christian McCaffrey, and then Travis Kelce. I think we're going to find out he's going to be on a lot of championship teams as well. So it's kind of a triumvirate there that carried you. But overall, I mean, I wouldn't look at this team personally and say, hey, this is a team that's going to win the fantasy championship. But I think, like you said, you just got hot at the right time with the right players, and it carried you all the way to the victory.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I did maybe 45 or 47 of these. There's no way I would sit there and say this is my best team. There's just no way it would have happened. I mean, I got value on like Hurts but to be honest with you, I started off with I drafted 3 quarterbacks in that draft, and it was Watson, Hurts, and Lance, and 2 of them went down, and I picked up Jones in the week 7 in waivers, and and I picked up McKinnon in week 1. Didn't use him until Pierce went down, and then he started to go. He had back-to-back 34-point games. I mean, it was all at the right time. And like I said earlier, that with Lance, Kittle wasn't doing anything with Lance. It wasn't happening. Then he was getting better with Garoppolo, and then when Purdy came in, he was his guy. And I mean, I held it together, and then Keenan Allen finally came back late in the year. So. No, there's no way. There's no way I would have said this is my team. There's no way it would have happened. But they caught fire, and I think I averaged about 180 points when it counted, and that was good enough.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the draft board for everybody to see as well. They can see this now. You actually had the 6th pick in the draft. You took Christian McCaffrey. Then you went Kelsey, Allen, Ezekiel Elliott, George Kittle, Hunter Renfrow, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Ayuk, Isaiah Spiller, Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, Chris Carson, Trey Lance, Chuba Hubbard, Dameon Pierce, Bills defense, Sterling Shepard, Tyler Algier, and Antonio Brown. And this draft, it took place in March. Am I correct with that statement?
Yeah, March 27th, and the other team that you mentioned earlier was finished 16th was in March. I think it was sometime in March, or a little earlier too. So some people just swear not to do this before the draft, but the Pierce and I call him Algier, whatever. I mean, those 2 guys were crucial to that team, and it was March. I didn't know where they were going, and so there's some value in the drafting early.
Yeah, so you look at your draft, you had the 6th pick and got McCaffrey, so you had a decision there. You could have taken Justin Jefferson, who was going around that point as well, and I think, either way, it probably would have worked out well for you. Then you got Kelsey on the way back, which I think is a little later than what he had been going normally. Normally went in the early 2nd round, late 1st round. So I think you got some value there. But Keenan Allen in the 3rd, probably, if you look back at it, you probably would have maybe gone another route with another receiver.
Absolutely. If he's going to be out 8 games,
Elliott too, probably. He was pretty consistent, but not like off the charts. So he was solid as well. There was definitely some misses, but I think it's just a testament to you, working that waiver wire, and you had good depth at some of these positions as well. So I think it just goes to show that you can definitely, win even if you don't maybe draft the best team on paper.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Waivers. Is the grind part of it. Nobody likes to do it. I do enough spread out over different sites. Tuesday and Wednesday is waivers day, and I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I'm glad it paid off, because it's certainly not the fun part of doing all this.
Yeah. I think the Hurts pick, though, in the 10th round, that's definitely great value, because he was a difference maker this year. And like you said, you took 3 QBs, which is kind of unusual and not a best ball format. But you had Watson that you took, and he wasn't going to be available until later in the season. So I can definitely understand the thinking of taking Lance there. But I think the Hurts pick probably was one of your best values. I don't know if you –
Absolutely, and the reason I did that, I didn't pay much for Hurts. So why did it hurt to have 2 or 3 quarterbacks? It's not like it took him 5th, so and then scattered more quarterbacks throughout that. So I did that because typically, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes you're wrong, but typically those running quarterbacks get hurt, which he ended up getting hurt. Lance got hurt, and then Watson had his issues. But so I think if you're going to draft a running quarterback, you might want to have a backup plan. And you can look at this year. Jackson, Hurts got hurt at the end. There's a variety of things. And I got really lucky with Daniel Jones. The competition he was playing the last few games was awful. And it worked out. When you played the Vikings and the Colts the last couple of weeks, that was a big help to what was going on for me.
Yeah, you had to have been a little worried with Hurts going down with injury. That's a guy that probably carried you much of the year, and then you have to roll with Jones. So that was probably a little bit of a concern for you there late.
Yeah, but like I said, his matchups, the Colts and the Vikings. I mean, anybody that watched those, I mean, they couldn't stop anybody. So I felt decent about that. You know, the last week, my only decision that I really contemplated, I was like to the last moment because it's Thursday night game. I was going to take Elliott out for Algier, and then Pollard Pollard wasn't going to play, so my decision was to roll with Elliott, even though I didn't think he was going to have a good game, and I was kind of kicking myself because it cost me 7 points. Mm-hmm. Algier had 16 and Elliott had 9, but it ended up working out, obviously. But I was kind of disappointed in that decision, but it worked out.
Yeah, so you looking back at your draft, you took Kelsey in the second round, then Kittle in the 5th round. So is that a strategy you've used before? Or
no, I just didn't like the receivers after it. I just didn't. That's the only reason I would never do that if I liked a receiver in that spot. But and I also was worried at that point in time with Lance. I mean, that's part of the reason I took Lance too. Lance concerned me because he likes to run, drop down, and run the ball. And I didn't think Kittle was going to get – I was right for most of the year. And then when Lance went down, the whole Kittle's the pick took off towards the end of the year when Garoppolo and Purdy came in. So, like I said, that wasn't my intent. I just figured Kittle was as good as the receivers at that point. That's the only reason I did it. It was not a strategy, and I don't know if I'd do it again, but but –
you may do it again just for a superstition.
Yeah, you're right.
Standpoint, you may want to do it. It worked out well for you. Right. So, with the contest in general, have you come close in the past? Is this?
I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe top 40, top 50. I mean, I have had teams that's in the top. I think one year, like maybe not this year here, but last year, at some point during the the final 3 weeks, I had a team in first or second or something like that, but they would always falter the last game. This one actually came from I think 40th or something when it started, and then it was in when it was in 6th for before the final week. That's when I thought, well, you know what, I got a pretty good shot here. I mean, do I have the best players? No, but I had some good matchups, and that was what I was counting on. And like I said, Jones and McKinnon and Kittle and actually the last game, Ayuk had a great game, and then McCaffrey. So I had a lot of 49ers. It wasn't my intent, but it certainly worked out.
Yeah, definitely. And so if everyone can believe this, so Brad actually was a winner on another contest on our site as well, the RealTime Fantasy Sports Championship. He won the white championship, which was $10,000. So he won 2 huge contests on our site. So I'm going to take a look at this white team as well. He finished first overall. He won that by roughly 30 points. You can see there he defeated the Jolly Rogers team. So Brad won 2 different contests. And the roster on this one, a little different. He has Algier again, but Dak Prescott, Algier, Austin Eckler, the number 1 back, A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson, CeeDee Lamb. So a little better receiver on this team. Dallas Goedert, Justin Tucker, Ravens defense, Jared Goff, James Robinson, Jeff Wilson, Romeo Doubs, Michael Gallup, Tyler Lockett, Sky Moore, Tyler Conklin, Dawson Knox. So definitely a different team here, Brad, but another winning team here. Is again, with this team, did you like this team a lot after the draft?
That one. I like that team way more than the other one. I mean, I really did. I just and I could see that one winning more than the other one. Obviously, I'm grateful that the TFC one won because there's a lot more money. But I was kind of counting on this one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The other one, I was kind of song and prayer, and it kind of came through. But this one, I felt more confident. And I typically am more wide receiver heavy when I draft anyway. And that other one, Ayuk and Allen was what I wrote, and Allen wasn't even there after a year. So, yeah, I was a lot more confident on this team.
Yeah, you had the top running back, 2 top 10 receivers, quarterback. I mean, Prescott had injuries, so his numbers were a little better, but you had Goff too, so that's a good platoon system there. Your tight end was probably a little tough to figure out from week to week when Goedert was hurt, but I mean, overall, really a solid team here. I can definitely see why you were happy with this one. Was there any point in this season? Now, I know you said you like this team, but was there some point where you were thinking you had a pretty good shot at this championship?
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, I don't think the record was all that great, but I kept thinking, this team's is solid,
Mhm.
and I kind of, my decision week to week was, yeah, the tight end was an issue, but who do I play, Prescott or Goff? Because Goff could, he could light it up one week and then go the other way, and same with Prescott. So that was my decision mostly with that team. But yeah, I really I thought this one had I was counting on 10,000 way more than I was the other amount.
Yeah, I'll pull up the draft board for this one too, so everybody can see it. So you had the fourth pick in this one, got Austin Eckler. Christian McCaffrey actually went second in this draft. So you went Eckler, C.D. Lamb, A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson, Elijah Mitchell, Elijah Moore, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Lockett, Dak Prescott, James Robinson, Mike Gesicki, Chris Carson, Trey Lance, Sony Michel, Justin Tucker, Algier, and the Buccaneers defense. So like you said, went a lot more receiver heavy here with this team, had some good options there. I think you had to be pretty happy with your early picks, seemed to be the ones that panned out the best for you. You miss on those early picks, you're in trouble, but you hit on those first three. It really a
Yeah,
great start.
yeah, Lockett was a big part of that too.
Yeah,
I don't know what round he was. Well, I don't remember what
eight.
you just said. Yeah, but I mean, I had him a lot in the 8th and ninth round last year. I get the Geno Smith experiment, but Lockett is a good player, and it worked out for me. I got a lot of value with him, and I'm strung out on a lot of teams, and down there, Algier down the end there. I think he had back-to-back 20-point games, and they finished with 16. So, and whatever round he was, I know he's a late rounder.
Mm-hmm.
That paid off, and coupling with Eckler, that was nice there. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, Lockett paid off. He didn't pay off at the end, but he got me there. He helped me get there. So, much more than Deontay Johnson did.
Yeah, definitely. And again, in this draft, you went with your quarterback in round 9, and then round 13, you took Prescott in 9, Lance in 13th. Is that normally a strategy for you? Kind of wait on that QB?
Yeah, yes, it normally is. I don't know that that'll transpire this year or not. I see more value at the upper echelon of the quarterbacks than I do, with some of the. Then, with Brady retiring and others, I think there's going to be far less certainty this year. And I mean, I don't even know where Daniel Jones, not that he's somebody you would target so much, but I don't know if he'll be on a Giants. They got decisions to make there too. So, I typically wait, the 8th, 9th, 10th round. I'm not, there seems to be too much other players there early in the early rounds. I mean, I took maybe Josh Allen a couple times in the 4th round, but I've never taken anything much more than, I usually wait until 8th, 9th, 10th, and that's especially early. I mean, that's those both. I don't know when this one actually took off. I know it had to be further down the year because these drafts didn't start like, the TFCs did. Mm-hmm. But that's normally my strategy, wait on quarterback.
Yeah, I'm I'm kind of interested to see where they go this year.
Yeah, I think you'll be
a lot sooner. Yeah,
I think they're going to go a lot sooner. At least probably 4 or 5 of them. The other ones. If you don't really have a clear cut differential, I would wait. I'll probably wait on them. But the top 4 or 5, I'm probably going to go earlier.
So speaking of strategy, let's talk about your strategy for these big game contests. You have any advice for people out there? I mean, what type of preparation do you do for contests like these?
Well, I'm not going to mention other sites, but I draft everywhere.
Yeah.
And the differential, I mean, it's good to see what others are doing other places. I draft about five live events a year. So things change when you're in person. They're different online. You get different coupling of people as well. I mean, that to me, and most, like I said, your major contest starts early, so I'm always hitting that early, and I do some other ones later. But I think changing up the comment. I'm not trying to dissuade people from, but I mean the variety. You learn different strategies, and you learn different hey, you know what, that doesn't, that's a little bit abnormal, but you know what, I kind of like that, or whatever it may be. So, I mean, I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts, not to knock anybody, but I read a lot and and watch some stuff. But I don't. Then my thing is just get in the drafts, a gut feeling, and try to get who I like, and maybe the chips fall away where they may. And so, and I've obviously was successful this year, and I've always held my own. I feel like I have anyway.
Yeah, you've definitely been a great player on our side for a lot of years, and just a pleasure to have you on, Brad. I really appreciate joining me, taking time out of your day to talk about your big wins, and I hope you have a lot of success here going forward as well.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate RT, and they've been kind to me, so I appreciate that. And maybe we can get lucky and be back here next year, right?
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you again. I'm sure you'd be happy to talk to me again next year.
Absolutely. I can't wait for him to get started either. So
yeah. All right. Thanks, Brad.
All right. Have a good night. All right.
And that was my interview with Brad Petri, the winner of the Fantasy Championship and RTFFC White here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Thanks so much for Brad for taking the time to be interviewed by me today. Really appreciate it. I loved his insight, loved talking to him. Great guy. Just a big victory for him, taking home over $500,000 in winnings this year. So congratulations to Brad. I hope you really enjoyed his interview. I sure enjoyed talking to him. Good luck to everybody out there in your upcoming drafts as well. Don't forget, we have drafts going on round the clock here at RealTime Fantasy Sports now for fantasy baseball. Football drafts are also open if you want to get in our RealTime Fantasy Sports Scout Best Ball Championship as well. So you can keep drafting here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. We got drafts going on round the clock. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day.